tape recording.
Hello,
live
people.
studio.
This is the Rockshow with Rock and Mike and Rock Rossi. This is part 2 of the great Bob Marley.
Episode 51.
51? Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Yep.
A lot of episodes. So Bob Marley, let me start off. Where we left off?
Well,
part
they
one?
had recorded their second album, Burnin',
Okay.
and there was going to be some lineup changes because Peter Tosh and Bunny Wailer left the band.
Yeah.
That would be 1974. That new lineup would be shown.
Yeah.
Okay. He would come out with the album Natty Dread.
Natty Dread.
Now, the band was going to be called at that point Bob Marley and the Wailers, not just the Wailers. Now it was Bob Marley
And the
Wailers.
Wailers. All right.
And Chris Blackwell from Island Records basically said, "Listen, you're going to be in the forefront." So he got a band together. There was Carlton Barrett on drums.
Yep.
Aston Family Man Barrett on bass. They were brothers.
Yep.
Junior Marvin on guitar, Al Anderson on guitar, Tyrone Downey on keyboards, Earl Lindo on keyboards, Alvin Seco Patterson on percussion. And this album, Natty Dread, is one of my favorites from him. It's got Lively Up Yourself, My Belly's Full But We're Still Hungry.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great tune. It was a politically charged album. Let me show it to you here. This is the Natty Dread album. Okay, the back of it. Okay, and I mean, like I said, Lively Up Yourself, but it also had the studio version of No Woman No Cry.
That's a great song.
The Rebel Music 3 O'Clock Roadblock is a great song.
Another great song.
That's about getting pulled over by the cops at 3 o'clock in the morning and getting harassed, which was happening a lot. Talking Blues.
But that was more because he was a roster, right?
Right.
They would put him over at 3 in the morning. Hey, what are you smoking, motherfucker?
Exactly. Anywhere he went, he was getting hassled. So Jase, the title track Natty Dread, Revolution. You know what? One thing I got to point out. Do you remember the movie, the TV show Vinyl?
Yeah.
Did you notice the part with Bob Marley?
No.
There was an episode where the character Bobby Cannavale played him. I forget the guy's name in the show, but he walks into Max's Kansas City, and Bob Marley's on stage playing "Lively Up Yourself." That was great. That was fantastic.
That show was short-lived. It only lasted one season.
One season,
I don't know
man.
why.
I loved it.
I thought it was a great show.
I thought it was a great show too.
Ray Verano was in it, right? He was like a DJ or something.
Yeah. Now, the biggest change, apart from this lineup, was that Bob brought in Judy Moat, Marsha Griffiths, and his wife Rita as the I3s. And they would be the 3 backup singers that would be through the rest of his career.
Yep.
Rita obviously was his wife. She'd be keeping an eye on things.
Yeah.
But Judy Moat and Marsha Griffiths, they had singing careers of their own, legit singing careers. And they gave that up to be backup singers for Bob Marley, which I always found amazing. These women could have made it on themselves, and they would later on have solo careers, but they gave up their solo careers to play with him.
And I'm going to tell you why. I will tell you why.
Why?
Because he sold 75 million albums worldwide.
Well, they were on a mission.
And you think these women would have done anything that close? You think these women would have even... No.
No, they
Well,
wouldn't.
you know what? I'd rather be a backup singer to the #1 recorded artist than to be the singer myself and have about 100,000 fans.
No, it was a religious mission for them too. Okay, Rita's on record many times saying that what they felt they were doing was bringing Rastafari to the masses, spreading this music, spreading this spirituality, and it was important. And they put up with a lot, to keep going with that. Okay, so it's amazing.
And here's another thing I'll give you. In 1976, they won an award. Mm-hmm. You know what award that was?
Well, they were already in I think it was the
in 1976
best soul album or something, or
the Rolling Stone Band of the Year.
Band of the Year.
And think about Rolling Stone at that time. That's huge because they weren't giving that to just anybody.
Rastaman Vibration would be the next studio album that would come out in '76, and that actually got into the top 50 in the Billboard. So he broke America with that.
Yep. That was
right. Now, right before that album came out, they would come out with Bob Marley and the Wailers live.
Yeah.
This was released in 1975.
Yep.
Live
it was
album. Recorded at the Lyceum Theatre in London.
Yep.
The album got to #8 in the UK. And this is the album that has the live version of No Woman, No Cry.
Yeah.
That was like an international hit.
That was an international hit.
I think that's the version that's on the Legend CD.
Yep.
Okay, has that version on there. A lot of people don't know is that when they recorded this, they used the Rolling Stones mobile studio, okay, which was a truck that the Rolling Stones used to record because they would often record in different places. They didn't always use studios. And Mick Jagger and Keith Richards actually lent the studio to Bob Marley to record that album. So Stones were definitely very helpful in promoting a lot of reggae music in the 70s. A lot of people don't know that.
I think Mick Jagger is like a huge reggae fan.
Mick and Keith.
Right? Both
Mick
of them love that genre.
Keith has a house in Jamaica that he even let Peter Tosh live in for a while because they were friends. And he actually had gotten him signed onto Rolling Stones Records. So he did an album for their label that they had in the 70s. But they would have a falling out over money and stuff. Yeah, I think in the story, if I remember it right, I think Richards had to like get him out of his house. He was like in his house.
You want to hear something else about Bob Marley? Won the award of the Peace Medal Award of Third World for the United Nations. Do you know that?
Yeah. I mean, he was given all kinds of awards. He would have won a Nobel Peace Prize probably at some point had he lived. What he was doing, spreading the spirituality, it was a serious thing. It was a mission for these guys to do it, and they did spread the Rastafari spirituality more than anybody ever.
So let's talk about politics. Like in Jamaica, there was two different parties,
right?
And Bob Marley wasn't really associated either to one or another, but both groups told that he was helping them out. What's the true story behind that?
Okay, well,
in Jamaica,
in '76, the politics in Jamaica was starting to become more violent, more just everybody was either picking sides. You had the PNP, and you had the JLP, okay, and they were basically two parties. The JLP being more capitalist and American leaning, and the PNP, who was the party in control at the time, was more socialist and leaning towards Cuba and England and stuff like that. Now, each party accused Bob Marley of being for the other one. No one really knew where he stood politically, and the truth is he said, I don't care. This is Babylon. Okay, this is not what I care about. But they would ask him to perform at a concert, okay? And this was it was called the Smile Jamaica concert.
What group was this? For what group?
This was Bob Marley and the Wailers.
I know, but for what political group this was?
It wasn't for either one. Okay, it was the idea of having this concert. Bob would do, I believe it was free, and he would perform and get people together and under the idea that we can all get along, even though we got different political ideas. Let's stop the violence, because there was people getting shot dead in the street.
Yeah, people getting killed. Actually, it was fucking violent.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Now, that concert was slated for December 5th, 1976. What I do want to mention quick before I do forget is that in '76 he had released the Rastaman Vibration album. You had Positive Vibration, Roots Rock Reggae, Crazy Bald Head, Rat Race, and the song War.
War, yeah.
We'll go into War in a minute. But I just want to give some context. That was the most recent album that he had put out. December 5th was the show. Now, on December 3rd, he was at his 56 Hope Road address house. Okay, it was about a large tiny mansion in the very uptown, ritzy section of Kingston. Okay, he was the only Rasta up there.
Yeah.
Okay, and his house was a free-for-all. Basically, anybody could come in and leave and hang out and ask him for money. Sometimes he would give it. Sometimes he wouldn't. Okay, but one thing they always had going was soccer games outside in the yard in front of the house. Always good food and a lot of weed. Okay, so it was a place that
sounds like a great time.
Let's
go.
Went.
I would have been in that house all the time. Yeah.
What would happen is there would be gunmen that would show up at the house on the 3rd of December, 2 days before that concert.
Wow.
And Bob was there, Rita, his wife, and a member of the I3s, and their manager Don Taylor. All three of them would get shot.
Yeah.
Okay. Rita got shot in the driveway. I believe she was in her car. Don Taylor got shot, I think, in the house. And Bob was in the kitchen, and one of the gunmen, I believe there were three of them actually, came in and kind of like made the door open a little bit and looked and pointed the gun real quietly and shot him. And he was making something in the kitchen with the blender or something. He used to use a lot of juicers and things like that. And he saw it in the last second, and he was able to kind of pick himself up like this. And the bullet went, it didn't go in him. It went across his chest. It, scraped him, basically. Wounded him there, and then went into his arm. So he was lucky.
Yeah, very lucky.
But they were just trying to stop that concert. Okay, they were trying to, somebody was trying to whack him out. It was either the PNP or the JLP. Okay, now I heard an interesting controversy with this.
Okay, what's the controversy?
Conspiracy, I should say, because I heard that these guys never were caught. Okay, but actually turned up in LA in the early 80s. This was after Bob was gone. And these same gunmen, I heard, were some of the original crack dealers in LA.
So
now, I don't know if that's true.
So they flew them over there
They ended up in America and became the early crack dealers in LA.
So let me ask you a question. So these three people got shot. No fatality.
No.
And did the concert still go off on December 5th?
Yeah.
Incredible.
The funny thing is the Wailers disappeared. Nobody could find them. They were afraid to show their face. So Bob had to get a band together quick for this show. There was a reggae band called Zap Pow that backed him up. And if you all have a chance, look this concert up, Smile Jamaica, 1976. It really, I don't even know if there was a stage. It was like Bob was just playing. You see him, there's all these people with him, and he's singing. And at one point, he brings Michael Manley, who was the president of the PNP, and then the JLP's leader was Edward Seeger. Brought them up on stage and had them shake hands, and that was a big moment. Bob was showing his wounds off. You can see it online. It's an interesting video. After that, he would go on a hiatus, okay, because he needed to recoup himself.
When there's a temper on your life, of course you need to recoup.
Yeah, definitely. So he went to the Bahamas, Nassau. Chris Blackwell had a house there, and he let him stay there.
Yeah.
And then from there, he would jump across over to the UK and spend the next 2 years there. Now, in that time, he didn't sit on his ass. Okay, he was writing.
Yeah.
June 3rd, 1977, he would come out with the Exodus album.
And that album
is classic.
Classic album.
Totally
a
classic.
lot of great songs.
Yeah, the tracks One Love, Exodus, Waiting in Vain, Jamming.
John, where you going? You coming back, right?
Yeah. Three Little Birds, Natural Mystic kicks off the album. You have two tracks that are Rastafari themed, Guiltiness and The Heathen. Okay. This album was on the British charts for 56 weeks.
Wow.
It was a huge hit. And this is the album that really turned a lot of the punks onto
reggae.
Okay. There was a guy named Don Letts.
Famous
Don Letts. He was instrumental in turning a lot of the punks onto reggae music. I want to just, a couple albums we were talking about here. This was the live album that came out in 75.
Live album.
Now this is, if you have a chance, it's a double album, okay? If you have a chance, it's a single album, excuse me. But
you didn't even open it. It's
you know why I didn't open it?
Well,
This is the only one I didn't open in this whole set. Because I have a 3-record set of it.
Oh.
Okay, so I just left this closed. The 3-record version of this is fantastic if you could find it. It's got the Lyceum show and another Lyceum show.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's different stuff. Then this is the Exodus album. Okay. Right.
Look at that cover, man. I think this is one of his best albums ever.
Yeah, it's beautiful the way it was put together. Okay.
I'm surprised
gold.
I'm surprised he never did like Cheech and Chong and put a big bamboo paper in one of his albums.
One of the early albums was on
bamboo.
Yeah, on paper. Yeah. I think it was. I forget which one it was.
Cheech and Chong.
I think it was Rastaman Vibration.
Rastaman Vibration.
Had that
wow.
kind of cover. Now on the back you got His Majesty and then the Lion of Judah and all that stuff. So he was really promoting Rastafari. With
that's huge right there. Yeah.
Great stuff. Now this album actually ended up on the Voyager spacecraft.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. When they put in '77, I think that lifted off, or '76, they put this album on here on the spaceship. So somewhere in outer space, that album can be played.
Yeah.
There's aliens that can have a record player. In '77, when that album was huge, it was on the charts for 56 weeks in England. It was doing well in the States as well. But he would release a single because a lot of the punks in England were big fans, and he wanted to kind of give back. So he made a single, a non-album single called Punky Reggae Party.
That's a great fucking
Great song. It was produced by Lee Scratch Perry. He would go back to work with him for that particular one single. For a long time, you couldn't find that single, and but it's been released in a lot of compilations now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think
if you have the actual 12-inch or 45, I think it's pretty rare.
Do we have Bob Marley in International?
On the juke?
The album on the jukebox?
Just
right?
on that one. The Trojan Records, there's a version of Dumpty Conqueror. An early version. That's the only thing you have. But Marley plays reggae a lot on the iPod.
You were talking about the War, the song War.
Yeah.
We're going to bring it up.
Definitely want to talk about that. That was on the Natty Dread album, okay? I believe it's the last song on the album, okay? No, excuse me, not Natty Dread. Where am I here? Oh, boy. Not Natty Dread. Okay. Rastaman Vibration. Sorry, that's this one here. Okay.
Right here.
Yeah,
here we go.
Yeah, this was...
Look at that.
On side 2, second to last song, War.
War, yeah.
Okay. Again, they would come out with the lyrics.
That's great. I always love when albums did that.
Yeah, this kind of looked like, paper.
Yeah, like you could roll that shit up and
great album.
make it big doobie.
This is one of my favorite pictures of him.
Yeah, that's a great
picture. The hat
picture.
on and everything, and I love this. But this album had the song War. And what you have to realize with that song is it's an actual speech by Haile Selassie I that he did in front of the UN in 1963. And Bob Marley would take those words and make it into the song War. It's a beautiful song about racial equality, about not discriminating against people based on race. And it's a classic. He did it every time he played live. After that, it was a huge hit. Everybody knows that song.
Yep.
Not too many people know it's an actual speech, though.
Yeah.
I want to make sure. Okay.
And now we're
to the Kai album.
The Kai album.
Yeah,
That's the
1978.
And in February 1981, he won the highest award that somebody could get in Jamaica.
What's that?
The Order of Merit, that the nation's third highest honoree.
Yeah, I mean, by the time he... Oh, the Order of Merit. Right,
Yeah.
it's a holdover from British times. He got the Order of Merit.
But that's like the biggest, that's like huge
Yeah,
honor.
it's like a Medal of Honor.
Let me ask you a
You
question.
would
You
get
think
here.
he was still alive when he got that? Because when did he die?
He died in 81. So that was February of 81 they gave that to
Yeah.
him? I think he might have still been alive. Or,
He died in May of
he was
May
still,
11 of 1981.
Yeah, he was still alive.
So
when he
that's
got
probably
died.
one of the...
Well, that's why he got a state funeral also.
Yeah,
Because
so-
he was such a huge guy.
So that's why that award makes sense.
Right. Now, the Kaya album, when it came out in 78, it's a much more mellow album. You got songs like Easy Skanking, Is This Love, Satisfy My Soul, Running Away, Time Will Tell, Crisis is one, She's Gone. Great songs. Kaya is actually a reference to weed.
Of course.
Right. You get the track, the title track, Kaya. on the inside.
No.
On this one. Yeah, it's a good album.
But they have is that the lyrics behind it that they had in the back?
I don't think. Yeah, the lyrics are on the back of the album.
Yeah,
they didn't.
Wow.
They didn't put it on the inside.
Yeah.
You know. People were kind of lukewarm on this album because I think they felt that, you know, he had just done some political stuff and they wanted to keep. But this was an album I think he wanted to make. There was a lot of things going on in his life that
he needed.
I mean, he was realizing
change.
he was realizing his mortality. I think, you know, you get shot, you kind of realize, wow, maybe I won't be here forever.
Yeah.
You know, and you know he was. You know, love was a big theme on that album, and he decided to write about it. I think it's a good album. Some people thought he was going soft, and I don't think that's the case.
No, it wasn't going soft. He just wanted a little change after, you know, shit, the 10th of his life, shit, he needed to change a bit.
Now, that same year, they would come out with my favorite live album from him, Babylon by Bus.
Babylon by Bus.
This was a double album, okay? And it's cool, you could like, you know, this slides out, so you could like change it if you want, put this in there or whatever. Cool gatefold album.
You know what's amazing? That's pretty much the last live album that he actually did.
Yeah, that he did, yeah.
You know, which is like, holy shit. You know?
Yeah, well, sad thing, what would happen. Now, the last track on the Babylon by Bus album is a long version of Jam. It goes on for about 10-15 minutes.
I'm jamming.
And you could hear the audience. Yeah, you could hear the audience flipping out on it. It's really good. 1979, he would come out with the Survival album. Before I mentioned that, though, back in '78, when he had the Kaya album and then the Babylon by Bus, there was still problems in Jamaica.
Yeah.
And he was kind of on an exile in England. He hadn't been back since he had done that other concert.
Yeah.
And he had been shot.
Yeah.
But the government representatives from Jamaica went to England to look him up and speak to him specifically about coming back and doing another show. Because there was still a lot of violence in the streets.
Yeah, people were getting killed, people getting shot.
And he would come back and he would do the One Love Peace concert. Now, again, it would be a replay of the last one where Manley and Sega would come out and shake hands. And
were the Wailers there?
Yes, the Wailers were there for that one. Yes, they were. Yes, they were. They didn't check it out on that one. But in '79, he would come out with the Survival album. This is one of my favorites as well. And this is a very politically charged album.
Oh, yeah, that's totally political album.
So he went back to more of a politic kind of theme.
But he was technically very political. He never ran for it, but he had a voice and like people listened to him. He was very a political figure.
Well,
especially
the people in Jamaica. The people in Jamaica listened to him.
Oh yeah, they definitely listened.
You know, lyrics would be on this. Okay, on the inside sleeve. This is the album with the different African flags on the front.
Yep.
Kind of cool.
Very cool.
You know, there's a picture of His Majesty shooting an anti-aircraft gun against the Italians when they invaded Ethiopia in 1935. He actually shot planes down.
Holy crap.
Yeah. You got some good songs.
Africa Unite.
Yep, you got some good songs on that album. You got Zimbabwe, Africa Unite, Wake Up and Live.
Yep.
You know, he was becoming a spokesperson also for what was going on in South Africa, stopping the apartheid.
Oh yeah, that was some other shit. That's a whole other.
Yeah, that was bad stuff that was going on at that time, and he was one of the first artists to really speak out about it. He was asked in 1980, in April of that year, to perform at the Zimbabwe Independence Day, the first one, where Rhodesia, which was the name of Zimbabwe before, as a colony of England, would give up, their flag would be lowered and the Zimbabwe flag would be raised, and they did a free show in Zimbabwe for everybody.
Amazing.
Yep.
So let me give you another. I hate to get out of stuff, but let me give you a little bit more of the fun fact. In March of 1994, he's inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yes, he is.
You know, that was a big thing. Then in 1999,
18 years after he died,
Album of the Century, Exodus. By Time Magazine.
Yeah.
was
Definitely.
the album
They were-
of the fucking of the century. Can you believe
so
that?
That's better than any other artist. Think about all the people in the 20th century.
And he's one of the few musicians. Guess what he got in 2001?
But,
And starring the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
yeah. Well, what's been a great thing is his kids have kept his legacy alive, especially Ziggy.
Yep.
And we'll talk about his kids a little bit after.
And I hate to one more time. And in February 2001, he got another great award.
What's that?
He got a Grammy, a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Grammy.
I remember when he got
I think
it.
I
What year
remember
was that?
saying that in 2001.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Yep.
Lifetime Achievement. And Ziggy, I think, accepted it.
Yeah. And in 2004, Rolling Stone ranked him number 11 of the greatest 100 stars to ever live, artists to ever live.
The number one?
Number 11.
Number 11.
And that's impressive with all
Very
the other
impressive
people.
considering, yeah.
To say that everybody that's on, if you see that list.
Whether you're a Rasta or not, you don't have to be to enjoy the music. And, it just he's a worldwide star, not just in Western countries, everywhere.
Yep.
You could be in a small town in India, and people know Bob Marley.
Oh yeah.
His image, everybody knows it.
Yeah,
Everybody knows his image.
And you want to hear something crazy? In 2004, he was the first inductee into the UK Hall of Fame. I like to see who's on that list of the UK
Rock and Roll Hall of
Yeah,
Fame?
UK
Wow.
Hall of
Okay,
Fame.
that I didn't know.
So I got a few more stuff that we'll talk about because he's still got a lot more awards that are coming here.
Oh yeah.
And where we at? He did
well,
the concert?
the uprising after the concert in Zimbabwe, he
Yeah.
would come out 2 months later with the Uprising album. Okay, and that's this one here.
That's a great cover.
Album cover. Okay, I love this album. This is Coming In From the Cold, Bad Card, Pimper's Paradise, Forever Loving Jah.
Could You Be Loved?
Could You Be Loved? And then Redemption Song.
That's a great
ends
song.
The album.
That is a great song.
Yeah.
Redemption Song is a great album.
Totally. Beautiful.
I think that the
album
back they got the words to all the song. Like,
most of the albums had that.
A lot of albums didn't do that, especially
It was expensive to do that.
the CDs. I used to
Still
love
is.
that CD. They used to have the booklet. Some of them would have all the song, and some of them would just shit on the lyrics. I said, why wouldn't they have the lyrics?
It's a lot more money to do that.
Yeah.
That's why some artists can't do it. But again, they promoted Bob, and he was selling albums, so he was making money for Ireland. They would put these great collections together. This would be the last studio album before his death.
But they still released one more out, that Confrontation.
Confrontation was released after he died. I'll talk about that in a minute. But I want to talk about what happened to him. Well, we all know he died. But the story is this. In July of 77, Bob had an infection in his toe. Now, contrary to what a lot of people think, they think it was a wound from playing soccer. It's not true. Okay? He did play a lot of soccer. And because he let this infection go for so long, playing soccer aggravated it.
Oh yeah, made it worse.
Right. But what he had underneath his big toenail was a malignant melanoma tumor. Okay? That was under the nail of his big toe. And doctors found it, and they said, look, we're going to have to amputate your toe. And he didn't want to do that because if you amputate your big toe, you have a problem walking. You have to relearn how to walk. And he would dance on stage when he performed. He didn't want to do that. Also, his religious beliefs. I think he believed that he could probably get rid of this naturally by eating right and by prayer. He decided to basically, they wouldn't amputate the toe, but they would dig into his toe and remove the nail and remove the tumor. But in those days, there was always a risk. This is over 40 years ago.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen so much anymore, but there was always a risk of when you went in on a surgery like that, the surgeon could actually spread the disease.
Even more.
If some of that cancer got into your bloodstream or whatever, you're done. Okay, it would spread. They did remove the nail and the nail bed, and then they would graft a piece of skin from his thigh onto the toe and wrap it up.
Yep.
Okay? That was in 1977. Now, in May of 1980, he had done some shows in Pittsburgh. He was actually back in New York, jogging in Central Park. He wasn't feeling well, and he actually collapsed.
Wow.
Now, this was 3 years later after the surgery. It turned out when he got to the hospital, they found out that the cancer had spread to his lungs and his brain. Okay? And in those days, that was, basic. That's it. I mean, even today, that can be it for you.
Yeah.
He decided he didn't want to get chemotherapy. He wanted to get something called the Issels treatment. Now, Dr. Joseph Issels was a German doctor that had like an alternative type of cancer. In those days, they didn't really have the word, but today you would call it holistic. Okay, it was not chemotherapy. He never got that. But there would be treatment. I think he did actually get some chemo in the very end of his life.
Yeah.
But it was too late because his hair did fall out.
Because that thing will kill you right away.
Yeah.
It kills everything. You can't even be around people when you get the
you're
chemo.
radioactive. When you get that radiation therapy and stuff. What would happen is he would go to Germany and he would stay there. He was there for 8 months trying to get well. Like I said, he lost all his dreads with some of that treatment. There was certain foods he could eat, certain foods he couldn't eat, and it was supposed to cure the cancer, but unfortunately the cancer became aggressive and it really wasn't working. He was going to go back to Jamaica and basically go home to die.
Wow.
He had a stopover in Miami, from Germany to Miami, then Miami to Jamaica, and he got very sick in Miami at the layover. Was taken over to what was then called the Cedars of Lebanon Hospital in Miami. It's now called the University of Miami Hospital. May 21st of 1981, he would get his state funeral in Jamaica because he did die in Miami, unfortunately.
Wow.
Yeah, very sad. I believe it's Judy Mowat, one of the I3s, back in Jamaica, the day that he passed away. She said the weather outside was raining and lightning and everything, and it came out of nowhere, and she knew that something was wrong. Something was wrong in the universe because of the type of storm that she was seeing in the middle of the night. And then she got a call, like at that time, that he had passed.
Wow.
So May 21st, 1981, he would get his state funeral in Jamaica. There would be a combined Ethiopian Orthodox and Rastafari traditions in that ceremony. He was buried in a chapel near 9 Mile, where he was from. Still there now. It's a little gray chapel where Bob is inside. And it's very sad because you think about the short career he had it lasted longer, what would he have been able to do? Even in death, he's done so much.
But think about it, that short career, 75 million albums sell worldwide.
Probably would have sold
75 Jamaican album.
Yeah.
And
he probably would have sold a lot more.
You know what's the other thing? Even after his death, the Legend album was the #1 selling album forever.
Right.
It sold more copy than any other album ever. It's crazy.
Right. Now, right after he passed away in 81, they would come out with the Confrontation album, okay? Now, this was after he had passed. It was kind of like songs that he had sitting in the can. They weren't on any of the albums. This got Buffalo Soldier on it.
Buffalo Soldier.
Chant Down Babylon.
Great song.
Rasta Man Live Up. Stiff Necked Fools, Black Man Redemption, Trench Town, song called Trench Town, not Trench Town Rock, Trench Town. Jump Naya Bingy. Really good stuff. Nice little. This was, you ever see this picture? This
No.
was, okay. You look at it, this was the Italians
Attacking, these guys
attacking
defending.
the Ethiopians and the Ethiopians defending.
Yeah.
I believe this was from, the decisive, Italy actually attacked Ethiopia twice. Once in 1896, this is the Battle of Ottawa, okay, and His Imperial Majesty's father was in this battle, okay? And he was only about 4 years old when it had happened. But then in 1935, Ethiopia would attack again. But in this battle in 1896, the Italians lost, okay? And they were pushed out of Ethiopia.
Yeah.
It was a big defeat for them. Very cool picture.
Very good picture.
Cool picture. Okay, now one of the things that you have to mention about Bob, and it's obvious if you know a little bit about him, and that's all his kids.
Yeah, bunch of
He
kids.
had a lot of kids. This
He had
man-
an army. He liked to fuck.
Yes, he did. He had a lot of kids with different women. I can give you a list here. Okay, his actual children with Rita. Okay, you had Sedella. Okay, named after his mom, born in 1967. You had David, also known as Ziggy, born in 1968. There would be a Stephen as well from Rita, born in 1972.
Ziggy's the one that still plays, right?
Ziggy's still around today. He's like in his early 50s now. And he's great. I mean, I like a lot of his music. Some of it is like, at times he's been a little too poppy, but he's also gotten serious too on certain albums, and he's pretty good. I like him. And whenever he plays, he does a lot of his father's songs.
Of
too.
course, I can see that easy.
Right. Now, there was a Robert, also known as Robbie, and he was born from, in May of 1972, from Pat Williams, a woman that Bob was involved with. There was also Richard, okay, from Janet Hung, okay, in 1972 as well, that same month. Karen, born in 1973 from Janet Bowen. Stephanie was born in August 74 from Rita, but not Bob.
Wow.
Okay, Rita had a little thing going on with a guy named Itao, okay, and she was acknowledged as Bob's daughter. Bob just accepted her.
Yeah.
Okay. Julian was born in 1975 from Lucy Pounder. Then you had Kaimani, born in February of 76 by Anita Belnavis. Belnavis. And Belnavis was actually the Jamaican ping pong champion that he was involved with. Okay. Damien was the last child born in July of 78 from Cindy Breakspear. Out of all the women that he was with, obviously Rita stayed with him.
Yep.
But Cindy Breakspear was the Miss World. Okay, she won under the title for Jamaica.
Yeah.
But she was actually Miss World, I think, in 76 or 75. Beautiful woman. And she was his companion also. People say, you know, how did Rita put up with that? Okay. Well, you know, she's been asked this, and she said by the time he started getting involved with other women, she was really more of a caretaker than a wife. That she kind of felt that she passed that role already of being a wife.
Yeah.
Strong woman to be able to do that. But you know, and a lot of it had to do with the Rastafari faith. She wanted to this mission of spreading this spirituality and the music through the music with Bob was a mission that she felt was more important than him messing around with other women and her getting mad about it and breaking up, and she stayed with him. You know,
that's a good woman.
Yeah, I would say so. That's all I got.
I got a few more stuff now. So, One Love was named Song of the Millennium by the BCC.
Okay, BBC.
Yeah. And then in 2010, he got a very Catch a Fire inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame in 2010. So
wow! The album was inducted as
into
what
the
though?
Into the Grammy Hall
what
of Fame.
What they call it, like the greatest.
I guess it's one of the greatest album, maybe a debut album that went into, but it was put in the Grammy Hall of Fame, and that's all I got for you.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, in the 70s, when he was recording most of his music, there was no Grammy for reggae.
Yeah.
The first reggae Grammy went to Black Uru, which is another great reggae band. They were actually supposed to kind of take over the mantle for Bob Marley, but never kind of materialized. But they're still around playing, and they're good.
Let me ask you, so what we got coming up in the next couple of weeks? We're going to a show on Friday.
Yep. We're going to see, this episode will be, that we just did now, will come up February 10th.
Yeah.
The part 1 will be February 3rd.
Yeah.
We're going to be seeing on January 24th, Peter Murphy, who was the lead singer of Bauhaus, the goth rock band. Bauhaus is actually back together. We're going to be seeing them.
Is Peter Murphy?
Peter Murphy's the singer. Yeah. Yep. Original lineup. Playing in Radio City in June. We're going to go see that. Trying trying to think any other shows coming up. St. Patty's Day is coming in March.
Yeah.
I know Murphy's Law is playing. They always do on St.
They always
Patty's.
do it short, St.
Yeah.
It depends where they're going to play it.
Yeah. That's all I got right now as far as up and coming.
All right. And so this is for Black History. We got 2 more shows. We're
We're
going
going to
to
do a show on Prince.
And Run DMC.
And Run DMC. And we might have an extra one thrown in there, too. We were talking about something extra,
yeah,
right?
sounds good, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do.
So people, remember, don't get drunk, get lumped up.
One love.